Bangin' on Wax was a groundbreaking project. Check out this interview with Cluso, one of the producers and main contributors to the Bangin' on Wax project, and Frankie, who engineered on the project. Cluso and Frankie were there from the beginning to the end. This interview will give you the real story about Bangin' on Wax. Some of the topics discussed in the interview are Compton legend Tweety Bird Loc, R.I.P., Red Rum 781, legend, R.I.P. They also discussed the time Kiki Loco from True Blue, NOTS, niggas off the street, pulled up to Kelly Park to confront some of the Bloods who were dissing his hood. We also discussed if Bangin' on Wax is cursed. I hope you enjoy the interview. We're going to start with Cluso, the producer of Steady Dippin'.
Battle Cat took me to meet one of my best friends. He's deceased right now. Tweety Bird Loc, Richard Johnson.
Okay.
I met him in Compton, so actually Battle Cat had took me over to meet him. And he had a group called Bodyguard back then.
Okay.
And I wasn't sure if I wanted to be, involved, but I know I was into this hip hop thing because Cat was DJing back then. So when I met Tweety, it was like he had a group called Bodyguard, and then he said, "You want to be in the group?" Because I call myself being a dancer back then. Okay. So I had got into the hip hop scene and I got pretty dope. So I ended up being part of the group. So fast forward to we were at a studio. I always forget the guy. I keep thinking it was Wayne Henderson. I'm not sure. Right there on off of Wilcox.
Yeah.
Right around the corner from Solar, like right. Almost across the street.
That sound like Wayne's studio.
Yeah, okay. we were there, and Tweety was in there, and then it was me, him, Battle Cat, and there was another cat named Jermaine. Everybody knows him as Red Rum. And we were all in there. We were working on Tweety's album. Battle Cat was just finishing it up, and Tweety was just playing around saying, "Man, it would be dope if I can get the Bloods and Crips, because I know a lot of Bloods and a lot of Crips." And he said it would be dope if I could put a project together where we just get all of them, like, they got all these people that studio rappers. He said it would be dope if I could get real Compton OGs, like, because he said it's a lot of talent in the neighborhood, because he knew from shooting basketball. He used to work with the youth in Compton, so he knew there was a lot of talent. And also, in addition to that, Roy Kaufman used to come to.
Rory, yeah,
he used to bring K-Day to the Village at Kelly Park. That's what we call the Village.
Okay.
And we met a lot of talented people there. So Tweety used that knowledge to, put the Bangin' on Wax idea together. It was basically him, me, Red Rum. We all kind of like just put our heads together. Tweety was the brainchild, and then we kind of just chimed in. So we came up with the idea to make the Bangin' on Wax. And between Cat and Tweety and Ronnie Phillips, which was another one of Tweety's good friends, we came together, and we actually moved forward on that situation. And then another legend where we did it was legendary. It was at Leon Hayward's studio.
On Crenshaw, yeah.
Yeah, so we went there, and what made it so unique is that all of the gangbangers, we met there first, and the rappers that were gonna do the rapping brought their OGs or their big homies or the people that's active. They came with them. Okay. So it was like, you got to realize the scene is active Bloods, active Crips, meeting at one location. Nobody knows anybody. And it was like everybody in there is super tension. Everybody got their hands on their pistols. Some people done pulled their pistols out, put them on the table, and it's like we sitting here like, okay, well, how we gonna make this happen?
Ooh, shit.
So we sitting there, it's super tension, and then the thing about Ronnie was a talker, and Ronnie had the gift of gab. He could, I'm telling you, he could talk you to buy some sand at the beach.
Okay, that's Ronnie. That was the executive producer of the show.
Yeah,
project, right? Ronnie.
Yeah, Ronnie Phillips. So
Ronnie Phillips, right?
He started it eased the tension. It took a minute. There was some incidents. I don't want to really speak too much on it. It was, a couple of shootouts occurred outside of the event.
Doing the recording?
Yeah, of course. Like, somebody seen somebody and was like, man, your homies, man, I can't give you. Like, we can get the pass in the studio, but it's green light once we hit King. After we hit King, it's green light. So we got to get active. So it is what it is. So
did nobody got killed though, did they?
I mean, probably not on record. Nobody's gonna admit to it, but I mean, I know it was some real heavy shit. Some real heavy shit going on, man. After each situation, at least for the first 2 to 3 weeks, because it was just super tension. And you got to remember, these are some of the most notorious. I'm talking about people representing Rolling 60s. Rolling representing Inglewood Family, Watts, Nickerson Gardens, Hoover, all the notorious neighborhoods, A-Trade, Gangster.
All the enemies
is in there, and it's like you gotta bypass all that because everybody is in there for one purpose. So Ronnie, like I said, Ronnie broke the ice and got us to really get on some music stuff, and once we started, because I think Battle Cat kicked it off with the first record. He flipped Peanut Butter, which was the Bangin' on Wax record, the Bangin' on Wax, and then he was into the Talk Box. Mm-hmm. So he introduced the Talk Box with the Peanut Butter flip, and it was so classic. And once he did that, then the competition went from the streets to the mic. So it was like, now who got these bars and who gonna serve up these bars, these original bars from each neighborhood, and like my hood is finna be against your hood, and we gonna destroy you on the mic. And that's when everybody it started getting super competitive. So the thing about it that made it so authentic is the fact that there was energy that would force you to be the best that you could be. Because a lot of people, when they go in the studio, you may not have motivation, or it's a self motivation that makes you rap, that makes that pen spit. But when you got that extra edge, when you got your hood, and like, I gotta rep my hood, and when I leave out of here, the homies is gonna be on my ass, and they want to know, like, nigga, did you represent the hood right? Nigga, what was your bars about? Nigga, did you bring up the big homie? Nigga, did you talk about the niggas that was in the pen? Nigga, did you get all that going? So it was like, that put the pressure.
A lot of pressure.
That made the pen so potent. That's why when the lyrics came out, people couldn't understand how were these rappers so dope. They were competing with people that was in the industry. Is because the level of tension, the level of reputation, and the level of where you had to be on your penmanship, it was no holds barred. It was like they was coming with they was coming top notch on the lyrics, and that's what made it so incredible.
How many records did it? Did it go gold? It went gold or something, didn't it?
Man, it basically went platinum because we were on Billboard with the Chronic, and we were neck and neck with the Chronic.
No shit.
For a while. And Suge, we were at a meeting, not even a meeting, we were at a award show, and Suge came directly to us because we had our own dressing room. Suge came in there and said, man, I got to meet y'all. He said, because y'all giving me a run, and he said, I got the Chronic, and he said, we just can't understand how artists that have never been on the mic before, how y'all competing with seasoned vets like Dre, Snoop, and Corrupt, and like y'all doing it. And he came and he shook our hand, And he was really impressed on the fact that we put it together and we made it happen. And it was a beautiful thing, man. I'm pretty sure the record went platinum. And when I say the merch and the overseas and everything, when it went to each city and it went to the down south and hit the central California. I mean, not Central California, but you know what I'm saying, like Texas and Tennessee and all of the states. They took off like wildfire because everybody wanted to bang on wax. And then I want to also give another shout out to just where people may not know, but Kiki Loco and them, they had True Blue. True Blue was around that time too, but we took over the presence of where True Blue was. But I want to give a shout out to them too, because they were running at the same neck and neck. And we had some wild stories because well, Tweety really looked out for me, because my whole thing was I had just started being a producer, because Battle Cat was like the super producer at that time. He was like one of the dopest unfounded producers in LA, and I was under him as tutelage on production. So Tweety told me that I need you to do a record. So I ended up making a record. I put Diamond in the Back, Sunroof Top. I mixed that with Cypress Hill, and I came up with Steady Dippin'. So when I made Steady Dippin', it was so melodic. And then we had my boy Jay Stank, rest in peace. He got on there and he put some bass guitar elements and lead on there, where it made it real. It was like soulful, but it was still hood. Mm-hmm. Man, when we did that record, it touched everybody, and that ended up being the beginning of me as a producer, where I got my first ASCAP. I was happy, I turned my record in, and I set up for my publishing, and I was just so thankful to be on that project. And what that did was push the bar on the Blood side, because Steady Dippin' ended up being the Crips side record. The Bloods had to come up with something. They was like, oh man, they got that Steady Dippin', so they came up with Pyu Love. Okay. So that's when it started getting real competitive. But I'll tell you one thing that a lot of people don't know. We had 2 more records on there. And when we made these 2 records, they were so overwhelming that the Bloods was like, man, we can't put those out. Y'all can't put those out.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. One was called Everything Gonna See All Right. And we flipped the Teddy Pendergrass and had one of Cat's female artists sing. And I say that was a monster. Everything's gonna see all right if you get your cards right. Everything gonna see all right. Oh. And then we flipped I better grab my 44. Looks like another slob BKO. Oh. And we flipped that, and the Bloods wasn't having it. They're like, nah, y'all doing too much. So we couldn't put those 2 records out on the project, but those would have been smashers on the Crip side. But it was like, nah, it ain't going down. Like, nah, we can't have y'all do that. With the situation I was leading to that made part of it classic, I want to say this too. There was an artist there. A lot of people may not know, a lot of people may know, but there was a cat that came to see Leon, and he had a CD in his hand. I was like, how you doing, brother? And he said, yeah, I'm about to go take this meeting with Leon, because, I'm trying to get on. He said, I rap and sing. And I'm like, for real? And I said, let me hear something. And I said, what's your name? And he said, my name is Domino. I'm from Long Beach. And I said, that's dope. And then I'm telling you, when he did, when he rapped and sang, I was like, this dude is like the dopest dude I ever heard in my life. Wow. Like before Drake, I'm talking about this dude was like, his singing and rapping was phenomenal.
This is Domino did Sweet Potato Pie, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I took Domino downstairs to Battle Cat, and Battle Cat was, working on his beats and stuff. And a lot of people don't know if Battle Cat are in beat mode, you do not disturb Battle Cat when he in beat mode. I was like, I ain't trying to hear what Cat talking about. I'm like, look, you need to hear this dude. He like, look, all right. And I was like, no, you need to hear this dude. And he wouldn't listen. So I stopped the drum machine, and Cat jumped up like he was finna fight me. And I said, nah, you ain't gonna fight me, bro, because
you're gonna thank me.
You're gonna thank me in a second. And I told Domino to rap. Everybody in the building lost their mind. It was like, man, can you please be on this Bangin' on Wax project? So we sat down and we wanted to ponder a little bit on the name for him, because we said, we don't want to call you Domino. You need a dope name. You need something dope. And I asked him where he was from. He said, I'm from Long Beach 20 Crip. And I represent, Long Beach 20 Crip. And I said, so we was trying to figure it out, and Tweety was sitting there, and then because Tweety always had a great ideas, and Tweety, Domino had bought some Miller genuine draft beers, and he was drinking, and then Tweety was looking, and he was like, man, he said, you like them Millers, huh? And he said, yeah, man. He said, I love these genuine drafts. And then Tweety said, genuine draft. He said, man, Dad, you should call yourself Genuine Draft from Long Beach 20s.
Wow.
And that's how that name came up. And it was history from then, because that situation took Cat to where he made his first platinum situation. We got Tweety Bird signed to Outburst, and Outburst signed did a deal with Def Jam. So Domino became the first West Coast artist to sign with Def Jam.
Oh, I didn't know that, man.
Yeah, he signed with Def Jam, and Russell approved the deal. Yeah, the other thing I wanted to say, because I got off subject, you asked like an incident. When we filmed, I know this was a very significant incident. When we were filming, we went to Compton and we were shooting a video for Steady Dippin'. And you got to remember that we're in Compton, Kelly Park. This is Kelly Park.
Yeah.
And at that time, the South Side Atlantic Drive and all them wasn't even getting along with Kelly. They was having issues. So it was like, to be in Kelly Park shooting a video was like already epic. But what had happened, which was relevant, was, and it was funny, but it was scary at the same time. There was this gangbanger named Big Kiki, and Big Kiki was Kiki Loco's big homie. He was from Harlem 30s. He came all the way to Compton and came on the video shoot and was saying he was looking for Red Rum or BK, because he said, I'm gonna kill them niggas.
Wow.
And he said, I need to find them niggas because I'm finna kill them niggas because they diss 30s, they diss Harlem, and I need that. And he had his pistol in his hand. He was like, nigga, anybody that got anything to do with that situation, he said, I know y'all all Crips. He said, but nigga, any niggas that got to do anything to do with them two niggas, I need that right now. And he was walking around with his pistol looking for anybody that he knew that was on that project that could have been a blood that might have happened to show up. Luckily, no bloods was there, so he didn't have to kill anybody. But I mean, he was like, we own that. We need him.
Now, the next question, man, of all the artists that was on that project back in the day, how many of them still around?
Oh man, not many.
You, Cat?
Yeah, me, Cat, Tweety, rest in peace. Ronnie's gone. At least about 8 of the members on the blood side gone. Sin Locust still around. C Note still around. Stretch and Big Y Big Y still around. A lot of people died though, and a lot of it was gang related. A lot of it was circumstantial. A lot of it was, I call it like it could have been the Bangin' on Wax curse.
Why you say it was a curse?
I say it was a curse because we were the icebreakers of that movement. We solidified the movement between us and Suge with the Chronic. We solidified where gang banging went corporate.
Next up, Mike Frankie is going to discuss his time working on this classic project. Mike was a studio engineer during the recording of Bangin' on Wax, and he gives us the real deal Holyfield about his experiences. Please hit that like button if you haven't already. Hit it now. Booyah. Booyah. Hit it. Thank you so much. Now, enjoy the rest of the show.
First of all, the person who was paying for the record was named Ronnie Phillips. And Ronnie had a best friend, a really close friend named Tweety Bird Loco.
Okay.
Tweety Bird Loco was from Kelly Park in Compton.
Okay.
He was neighbors with Dre and Easy and them cats. And Ronnie was doing a record on a kid named D, and D was a Muslim. And Ronnie wanted to do gangster type music, and D was with it. But when Ronnie started putting naked white women in the videos and stuff like that, D wasn't feeling that. D shook the spot. So Ronnie turned to Tweety Bird. He said, Tweety Bird, you should rap, right? Tweety Bird never would tell you he was a rapper. Okay. But he ended up making a record called he was doing some LL Cool J type rhymes, and Ronnie was like, that's sitting on the bus stop sucking on a lollipop. Well, let's do some gangster shit. Sitting on the bus stop waiting for a bite to drop. Let's do some shit like that. And Tweety Bird took that and ran with it, and he made 187 Drive-By. Okay. Right? Which is a pretty legendary record when you look I read an interview with Scarface, and Scarface said that was his favorite record. Wow. Right? So, that being said, Tweet comes up with the idea, man, let's do a Bangin' on Wax record, right? Let's do that. And Ronnie was like, you know what? That ain't a bad idea, right? So the whole concept came from Tweety's brain, and he was actually the catalyst for bringing a lot of the hoods there. Okay. Tweet was the man. Okay. Whether he got properly credited or not, it's not the issue. I'm telling you, it all came out of Tweet's brain. Okay. Because I was working with Ronnie before everybody. Okay. Right. What was you doing with Ronnie back then? Engineering. Okay. Right. Working with him actually. So we do this record at Leon Haywood's joint on Crenshaw and Rodeo, which was called, actually people called it Eve Gym because that was the name of Leon's label. But the actual name of the recording studio was Sunnyside. Sunnyside, okay. Right, it is now a Korean hair store. First day of the session, I'm there, because I'm the engineer, I'm always there first. I'm there, and a gang of Bloods come in there, like a gang of Red Rags. It was Stretch from Bounty Hunters, Big Y from Inglewood, from Family, Crenshaw Mafia niggas, the homies from the Southsiders from Compton. It was just a gang of cats, some cats from Piru, with no Crips. Okay. No Crips. And the first cat that was representing the Crips side that came in the door was Domino. Okay. Right. But you gotta understand, some of these cats weren't really active gang members. What you mean? Most of them were. Okay. Right. Okay. But there was a couple of cats that Ronnie chose just because they had good rhyming skills. Okay. Right. And they became guilty by association, for lack of a better word. Okay. Right. My girl Nene. What was Nene's name? Nene X. But she was Bloody Mary on this album, right? On the album that we're referring to. Okay. She wasn't an active gang member. She ended up being one though. Wow. Right. From the experience, she chose a side. Right. Okay. So it was a lot of people. It was a lot of people that were really active gang members, and it was a couple that weren't. Right. When David, I think if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong with this, but I'm thinking Tweety called Cluso, and Cluso brought Battle Cat to the table. But like that was 92, man. That was a lot of weed and a lot of beer ago. You know what I'm saying? And
so how was the vibe, man?
The vibe was really cool. It was some tension at first,
okay, right?
But everybody knew what the agenda was.
Okay.
And everybody acted cool. There were no altercations on that first record that I know of because I left the record kind of early. There was a situation, it got kind of tense. Like one time, the one thing about that record what was really great was that it was some classic bagging sessions.
Okay.
Like it was jokes, right? And sometimes them jokes hit home, you know, and I told Stretch from Bounty Hunters, I told Stretch, we got to one of them little bagging sessions. I said, nigga, you can't rap gifts, nigga. And he got hot, right? And he pulled a pistol on me.
What?
Yeah, the pistol was about this big.
Okay.
But it had a clip, like, he said, nigga, you better be glad I'm trying to rap, nigga, because I'm a real gangster, nigga, and I'll kick your door in, and whoop, 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 whoop. And I looked at that nigga, I said, man, I can't even get you to give me a ride home, because you asked me where I live. I told you where I live. You said, shit, I ain't going over there, so miss me. We just put the pistol away and shit, right? That nigga owe me $100 too. Stretch, I need that $100. I hit him for $100 in crap game.
Oh, no shit.
But it was Ronnie's money.
Okay.
And Jay Shanklin interceded, one of the producers. So it was when the record first started, the producing staff basically was Cat, Jay Shanklin, Geek and Noise from Five Deuce Villain, Cluso, Box. This is all very long ago though, man. Y'all gotta work with me. One thing that struck me about this particular situation was, I remember when we first fired up the mic, and it was Stretch and Little Joe from Compton, from South. I think it was from Southside,
okay,
right, from over there, and they went to banging, and I stopped the tape, Joe. I stopped the tape, and I looked at Ronnie, and I said, Ronnie, do we really want this, man? I said, we should do this. We should approach this a little differently, right? As opposed to them banging on each other like that, we should be talking about why this happened and what we can do to prevent it from occurring again. But it went straight head-to-head violence, and I knew then that shit was headed for a fucking disaster, right? And I carry a burden of guilt for this record. Me and OG Sinloke was talking about this too, because Sin was there. Sin was one of the first Crips to walk in the door. And with the Freddy Krueger mask and shit, and that nigga scared the shit out of me. And I'm from the streets. I was like, I don't want to fuck with that nigga right there, right? So, but me and Sin was just talking about this, and we carry a burden of guilt for that record, dude.
What do you mean, burden of guilt?
Well, before we did that record, there were no Bloods in Tennessee, or no Crips in Philly. There was no Bloods in New York, no Crips in Detroit. That didn't exist. When we did that record was so hot, it took gangbanging global, right? We started getting fan mail from Brussels, from European dudes, white cats. Like, I'm down with the Crips, I'm down with the Bloods. It was that influential. They did the Maury show, right?
Oh, no shit.
Yes. I was supposed to go, but I didn't really, I had mixed emotions about being a part of that record. And once I did that record, by the way, it cost me a lot of high profile clients.
No shit.
Yes, it did.
Like who?
I hate to mention names, but you know, I was working with some pretty influential people.
Why do you think they started messing with you?
Because I was affiliated with niggas that was robbers and gangbangers. Now, you know, they assume, but always been these niggas that they were scared of, but I just never was like that with them. And when I did that record, I stopped getting them calls.
No shit.
No shit.
Did it ever come back around, or did it just?
Yeah, it came back around to me. Like I ran into someone at an event, and I was like, "Yo, you just cut me off, nigga. What's happening?" He said, "Man, you know, you kind of spooked us with that banging shit." After we did that record, because it was one of the hottest records that year, there was a show called The Box. You remember?
I remember The Box, yeah.
Right. And that year, that was the #1 requested record on The Box.
Okay.
Right. And I went to Tennessee to make some records with some cats. And when I went to Tennessee, they was banging. Right? And I had a cat run up on me and he was like, "Yeah, I'm from Pyu." I said, "No, you're not, bro." I said, "You're not from Pyu. You from Knoxville, Tennessee. Do you know Pyu is a street?" He didn't even know Pyru was a fucking street. I was in Detroit, nigga banged Hoover on me. He didn't even know Hoover was a street.
Wow.
Right? So that's how influential that record was, right? I went to a store in what town was I in? In Louisiana. I go to use a public telephone booth and a nigga had Pyu Love written on the phone booth. So that lets you know I'm talking about I'm in a hillbilly town.
Right.
So that's how far reaching the tentacles of that record was. And I call them tentacles because of reason. When we did the Gangster compilation album, right, there were 64 people on that cover of that record.
Okay.
Right. Half of them were dead. By the time we did the compilation, they were gone. And the other half were incarcerated with 25 years or better.
That's deep.
Right. We lost a cat, 4 Clips. 4 Clips used to take his bike, ride his bike from Compton, right? Catch a train, catch the bus or whatever, right? And come to the studio and they killed him. And he was a non-affiliate, right? He was making a gang mending record in the process of making one of those. Each one, reach one, teach one, you know, that kind of thing, right? So ironically, I take part in the first record and I was doing the very last record that was going to be in the Bangin' Wax series because Ronnie died in the process of making it.
So everybody in that situation got messed up.
Fucked over.
It was no winners in that situation.
Nene X ended up getting killed on a motorcycle, accident. I don't think Danny Girl was an active gang member, but she was the girl that represented the side of the blue. Okay. Right? But maybe she was. I don't know. I didn't try to know these motherfuckers like that because I got my own issues. Right? These niggas is gangbangers, all right? Now, I've been through that as a kid. You remember Rough, Tough, and Dangerous? You remember RTD, the bus line? Yeah. Man, I used to see niggas get mocked on the bus. Check this out. You remember Festival in Black? Yeah. At MacArthur Park? Yeah. I got a wild story for you. I'm a kid though, right? I'm like 13 or some shit. And we sitting on the embankment by 6th Street. And we rolling some weed and shit. And a brother come up and ask us for a cigarette. And I'm standing up. My 2 partners is sitting down. But when we left the east side, they got on Ace Deuces, right? And they not gang members. Okay. But once again, this shit is not fashion. They got on Ace Deuces, blue leather jackets, you know what I'm saying? They look like Crips, right? We get to MacArthur Park, we rolling some weed. I'm standing up smoking a cigarette and they sitting down on the hill. The weed is right here, right? Cat came up, he said, let me get a cigarette, man. I said, no problem. I slide him a cigarette. He hit it. He said, you know what? You motherfuckers look like Crips, right? I'm like, what? I'm a fucking kid, right? And I look up and we surrounded, right? And it's just them niggas from different lanes, right? Real rag niggas, right? And they snatched the beanies and Ace Deuces off these niggas' heads and threw them on the ground. It was like, what you want to do about it? And he looking at me, I was just standing there like this, like, say, I'm not dressed like that. So you ain't got no problem with me. And the nigga looked at me and said, you could have got fucked up with your hands in your pocket too, nigga. I'm the nigga that just gave you a cigarette, partner. You know what I'm saying? Right? So the bottom line is they left us alone, right? They gave us a pass. Right. Now I'm mad, right? I'm mad at these niggas because I told them niggas don't dress like that before we leave the house. Okay. Right? Now we on the bus going home. It's Crips on the bus from the front to the motherfucking back, right? Okay. And every nigga that get off the bus getting socked out. You know, when you go to the back door to get, they beat the dog shit out of nigga. I would have rolled that motherfucker to Compton. I wasn't getting off that motherfucker, right? Because there was a gang of them niggas. And once again, them leather coats. Right. It was so many niggas on the bus that I had to sit here and one nigga, we were separated. And the nigga leaned over to me and he looked at me and said, that's your partner. I said, yeah, man, we all together. He said, you sure is wearing a nice jacket. I knew then what that business was. He said, I think I'm gonna have that before I get off the bus. And I looked at him and I didn't know what the fuck to say. You know, it wasn't my motherfucking jacket. You know what I'm saying? I told that nigga to wear that bullshit, right? So we had a blood issue at the park and a Crip issue on the way to the house. God damn, now check this. Now check this. When we get to 7th and Broadway, the police mobbed the bus, right? Took everybody off the bus that looked like a Crip. Nigga, I'm looking out the window, right? I'm looking out the window, right? They didn't take me off the bus. They didn't take my boys off the bus. On the 95, on the Vernon bus, this gangbanging shit was out of control. It was 2 cats coming from LA High. They wasn't gangbangers. One nigga was in ROTC, right? And the other nigga was just
harmless, motherfucker.
Yeah, he was harmless, right? And the other nigga was harmless too, but he was hanging out the window, hollering, blood, Pedro Bishop, all that kind of goofy shit. He was playing, but he didn't know what he was doing. When the bus got on Hooper, some niggas pulled up in a 64 Chevy, and they heard the nigga hollering out, because he was only hollering when the bus would pull away, right? They heard him. The motherfucker had hydraulics, so when the Chevy pulled in front of the bus and just laid down in front of the bus, the driver was stuck, right? 3 or 4 niggas got out the Chevy and came on the bus, right?
Just like a jet out of Compton.
Straight up, came right on the bus, on my mama, came straight on the bus, and was like, where the Pablo Bishops at? And the nigga who was doing all the hollering moved. He moved seats, right? Only the ROTC nigga was sitting there, right? And the nigga said, you the and slapped him. And slapped him like 3 times in a row. And he had a sister on the bus. And the sister jumped up and said, don't let him hit you like that, Stanley. And that nigga's homie fired on her and knocked her out, right?
Okay.
I'm sitting there like, wow, this is really fucking happening, right? I was a fucking kid. I ended up going to LA High, getting kicked out of Jeff, going to LA High, and some niggas surrounded me because I was on the east side. I wasn't even gang affiliated at that point. Right? I caught them niggas. I went home the next day because when I never checked in class at LA High. Teachers thought I was in the girls' classes that I was fucking with. You know, I just go to their classes, right? And it's some funny shit. So the girls was telling me, them niggas from schoolyard, they own your bumper, right? And I'm like, okay, I got some of them. I go home, get a pistol. When I come back, they kind of surround me in the little lunch area. I draw down, they break, right? The next day, they called the police on me. I got expelled from all LA City schools for that fucking pistol. And then I got a gang affiliation on my jacket, on my juvenile jacket, because it was a gang incident, right? So a nigga ended up banging by proximity. Oh, you from Avalon? Yeah, where you from? 47 man. Oh, you was a Crip. You from Fire Trade. You were this, you were that. You feel me? And then see, here's the thing. Before crack cocaine came into the game, it wasn't as violent. Right. But once crack cocaine got into the game, it became a whole nother issue.
First it was just territorial and ego. Then it became about money.
Then it became
about
money. That's when it got crazy. That's when it got motherfucking crazy.
That's when it got crazy.
That's when it got crazy. And that record was a microcosm. It was a very tiny look into what was happening in Los Angeles at that time with gang culture. You remember Watch Stacks?
Yeah. Oh, I was there, baby. Both of them. Now, hold on. Tookie and Jamil turned that son of a gun.
Turned that motherfucker out.
Okay.
Remember that big ass scene they formed on the field?
But see, I tell people that they tell me I'm lying. It might not. I remember what happened. How that happened was Jesse Jackson. Yeah, Jesse Jackson.
Coalition, the Rainbow Coalition.
Every time they had a deal with the Raiders, I think the Raiders was playing.
No, that was way before that. That was the Rams.
The Rams was playing. This was a Saturday afternoon. Rams was playing Sunday, and the deal was you could have the concert, but nobody could dance on the field. Well, as soon as the music played, everybody rushed down to the field.
When Rufus Thomas hit the stage, they mobbed it.
Okay, now Jesse Jackson tell the Crips come down and form a human chain around the track. Okay.
And they took over the whole field. It was so many of them cats, dude. I remember
niggas that wasn't even Crips joined the Crips that day.
When I was sitting like I could look on the side of the stage, right? I didn't have a front view, I had a side view. And when they marched in, right? When they marched in, they started going because they ended up eventually ended up at the top. Remember?
Okay, right.
When they was coming up in double file, going to the top of the stadium or whatever the fuck that is, right?
Right.
Whoever was coming down
got bobbed.
Man, they threw one dude down. Man, that's amazing. But we didn't have the technology that we have now to record incidents. But we have witnessed so many incidents at high school dances, so many incidents at clubs, So many incidents where it just jump off. You know, right now it's happening like a motherfucker.
I saw a cat at the Watch Stacks. It was so bad at the Watch Stacks. It was a mob of cats. Guys was actually just volunteering to Crips that day, just not to get jumped on. They wanted to be on the winning side because the Crips had the LAPD outnumbered. LAPD put their hands up and just quit.
Yeah, the LAPD backed away from it.
They went and set up by the scoreboard and just kicked it.
And you know what? You know what their attitude was?
What?
Let's let these niggas kill themselves. I remember I was at a Stevie Wonder concert at the Forum. And Tookie and them, all his camp was there, right?
Okay.
And you know, motherfuckers don't realize Tookie was a star. Yeah, you know, he was that nigga was on the Gong Show.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, Tookie, they called him Tookie.
Tookie Williams, right?
Yes, sir, I remember that. But I saw it.
When they, you know, them niggas used to wear them overalls and shit.
Right.
They were huge bodybuilders. These niggas had arms as big as my whole body and waist as big, right? And they was in the Forum on the ground where the good seats was at in the Forum. Before the show, they was doing what bodybuilders do. Cats on the spotlight. The union cats was on them, right? Okay. Until they start slapping the shit out of niggas, right?
Now, what the Forum did, Dick Griffin and Louis Gray. Remember Louis Gray?
Yes, I worked for Dick.
These are old promoters. Louis Gray, he was a super promoter back in the day, and Dick Griffin was a big time promoter. He also had a piece of Soul Train. What they did is they formed. They got with Big West. They formed a security company of ex-cons called NES.
Right.
National Event Services. They was all big buff cats. They patrolled the Forum parking lot.
Now this was crazy. When I first went to work for Dick in 80, 79, 80, 81, somewhere up in there, Dick's bodyguards were Wes Crockett.
Right.
A dude named Jack who was fucking huge. And about 4 other cats, right? And they surrounded Dick, right? And me and Dick got into it. And the first thing I thought was them niggas was gonna max me out, right? Me and Dick got into it. And then when they didn't do nothing, and I think it was because they perceived it like that's how him and Dick get out, right? And Dick never once said, kick this nigga ass.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Right. But you know, the first time I met Dick, I cussed him out.
Did you really?
I didn't know who the fuck he was. I thought he was just some guy trying to tell me how to do my fucking job. I didn't know he was the promoter and the manager of the acts and the record company president. I didn't know none of that.
He had it all.
And when I got after the show, when I got off the riser, Dana Myers and William Shelby and all them cats from the Throwdown Brothers, they said, "Oh, you going home tomorrow?" I was like, "What the fuck you talking about?" They said, "That was Dick Griffin." I said, "Who the fuck is Dick Griffin?" They said, "He's the promoter of the show. He's our manager. He's the record company." And I was like, "Oh, fuck." Right? So I seen him the next day and I apologized. Right? I said, "Man, I had no idea who you were." But, and I was a young nigga still. I said, "But I don't allow people to tell me how to do my job, sir. And because you didn't know who I was and I didn't know who you were, right? More importantly, I wasn't gonna let you fuck this gig up for me because this is a shot for me." And I was really honest with him. I said, "Man, when I get off this stage, I got 20 motherfuckers I gotta answer to. And if it's gonna be fucked up, let me fuck it up."
Right.
And he said, "I respect that, but I don't like the way you talk to me." I said, "Sorry, man, damn." Right. And we became so close after that. He took me to Africa twice. Right. He took me to Europe. He showed me the world. I'm forever indebted to Dick, man. Dick was a cold nigga. Dick was the motherfucker that put that deal together for Michael Harris and Suge Knight. And then they ex Dick out of the equation.
Right. I remember Dick for a while, he was trying to teach cats the distribution game, and he was had a contract that was named after him. It was a dick in his contract, so goddamn big. I was still kind of young in the game, but I knew this contract ain't the one to sign. Okay, about that thing.
That was a library.
Yeah, no, that ain't the one I want to sign. Thank you, Mr. Griffin, but no, thank you.
Yo, the game was so cold, and this is what's so cold about that particular Bangin' on Wax record. You know, Leon Hayward has always distributed his own record.
Yes.
Always pressed his own record.
Yes.
Right. When he worked with McCullough, who was the chief rapist in charge in town in terms of records, he would take his stampers and leave. You weren't pressing no records behind Leon back. He'd take the mothers and stampers and haul ass. Right. Leon told Ronnie Ron, Leon and Duffy. You remember Duffy?
Duffy Hooks, yes.
Duffy Hooks told Ronnie, do not give that record to Russ Reagan. Russ Reagan, right? Do not give that record to fucking Russ Reagan. They used to tell him that every day because Ronnie used to brag like, yeah, I'm taking this record to Russ. And Russ said he gonna do this and he gonna do that. And Leon and them begged him. He's like, man, don't do that. And sure enough, he did. And at the end of the day, nobody got paid.
Nobody got paid.
They milked the cow and then they went and banged on for the tapes. They didn't need the tapes anymore.
Right.
What the fuck? That's like milking the cow and giving it back to a motherfucker. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, but that record, once again, as proud as I am of being a part of it, I carry a burden of guilt for being a part of it as well. Now, that's not to say that if I wouldn't have participated, it wouldn't have happened.
Okay.
Right? But it happened on my watch. You know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, Tweety Bird just passed. We just lost Tweet 2 months ago, David. About 2 or 3 months ago. Jay Shankman, a month or 3 weeks before him. So people are dying, you know, that were affiliated with that record. That wasn't even gang bang active ass niggas that's on the record. It's just that it's almost like that record carried a curse.
Thank you so much for spending your time with me. I do hope you enjoyed learning the real story about Bangin' on Wax, a classic project. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Please hit that like button if you haven't already. It helps out my algorithm. I really, really appreciate you hitting that like button. Just please smash it right now. Bam. Just do it real quick. Doesn't cost you a dime. Smash it. Booyah. Also, please hit that subscribe button if this is your first time joining the channel and you like what you hear. I will be posting a lot more of this type of content. Are you on Rumble? The Rumble app. Check out Rumble, R-U-M-B-L-E. It is an app, and it's a lot more uncensored than YouTube. You could check out Dusty Vision TV on the Rumble app. It's all one word, Dusty Vision TV. First, you got to download the Rumble app onto your phone. Go to your Google Play Store or your Apple Store and download the Rumble app, R-U-M-B-L-E. Then subscribe to Dusty Vision TV. I really, really, really appreciate you all doing that. You can also follow my second channel right here on YouTube, Dusty Vision Radio. I'm at almost about 3,000 subscribers, and I'm really trying to push that channel as well. Once again, that's Dusty Vision Radio on YouTube. You can also follow me on Instagram, Dusty Vision Radio, and Facebook, Dusty Vision TV. Thank you all. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.